What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now, Back to the Past. I'm Alex. In this video, I want to talk about Ghostrunner. So this was a game that has actually been mentioned to me by a follower of mine for quite a while. And this game came out years ago, and obviously the second game comes out literally next month. And I personally feel it's kind of a terrible time for any game that's even remotely under the radar to release. I think it's going to get buried by the bigger games, but I would say that about any game in this game situation. I'm not singling it out. But regardless, because the second game is coming out next month, and I will get it. I don't know if I'll get it day one, but I'll be playing it hopefully before the end of the year. I wanted to go back because I never played the original game. Well, I played Ghostrunner, and that title is not clickbait. I have no idea. I wanted to count, okay? I wanted to count how many times I died. I estimate, and I'm going to probably get a number from the time I'm recording this to the time that the video goes up. I want to say 2,000, and I feel like that's maybe too low. I actually think it could be higher. As this game went on, I was approaching the 200 to 250 times dying per level. Now, the game's tough. This is a very, in my opinion, now maybe I'm just god awful at it, but this game takes precision. This game takes skill, and I love it. Let me say that before I actually get too far into saying how many times I died in this game. This game rocks. This game rocks from a gameplay perspective. This is the Mirror's Edge kind of sequel that we never got. You know, I actually had just replayed Mirror's Edge, the original, a few months back, and I made a video on this channel. Catalyst I played when it first came out, and I was so disappointed in Mirror's Edge Catalyst. I might actually go back and replay it to make a video on this channel, but playing this made me think, oh my god, this is all of the basic fundamentals that Mirror's Edge did so well and basically started, and then making it just this insanely fast-paced, way more action-y, right? More about slicing and blocking and, again, precision. Precision like you've truly never seen before, and that's what this game has. And you die so often because it's a one-hit. You get hit one time, and you are done. It's not a couple. It's not 5-6 times. It's not you can get sprayed with like an assault rifle like in Mirror's Edge. No. It's one time, and you're screwed. But on top of just the gameplay rocks. And although I was maybe more frustrated than I've been in years at a video game while playing this game. Although that's true, the gameplay's still great. But on top of that, I actually think the story, the setting, the atmosphere is really good. That is something that going in, I knew what this game was. I just never played it. So I kind of knew a little bit of what to expect. But in terms of like the story, didn't have a single clue. I actually think the story is very, very good. Now, you get the twist that, you know, the guy who's talking to you, you know, in your head, that he's actually the villain basically of the entire, like you know that almost immediately. And as the game goes on, it starts to kind of throw some more stuff at you that this could be the case. I actually really like the Ghostrunner. I believe Jack is his name, and his voice, I actually really, really like the voice actor. I like a lot of the lines, and I like a lot of the dialogue, and I also like how the game knows when to push and when to pull off. And what I mean by that is it pushes you with all of the information. So it'll just be talking to you, or I mean, more realistically, right? What actually happens, the characters will be talking, but it only happens really during platforming kind of segments between one area and the next. There's a little small area or window of say 1 to 2 minutes to get from one area or level to the next one. And in that time, it is giving you all of the exposition. And the exposition is good. It's not just saying things just to say it. It's good. This little rebellion and the grand scheme of like the villain's plan, it's really good. I mean, honestly, it caught me by surprise at how good it really was. I knew to expect the combat. I knew to expect the difficulty and the parkouring, but I didn't expect that I would like a lot of these characters. Yes, you can see some things coming, but the story and the characters are actually extremely, extremely good in this game. So overall, I had a blast, but now that's just kind of the short of it. What I really want to spend a lot of time talking about here is the gameplay mechanics, how fun they are, and also how challenging they are. So, okay, this game is broken down, like I said, so there's chapters, and in those chapters, they'll basically be areas or levels. You defeat that area, and there's a couple ways of handling it, although I would say there's not like infinite. Like there are definitely, they introduce you to a mechanic, you're supposed to kind of practice, it tells you kind of what to do, and then yes, yes, as the game goes on, you'll have a little freedom of how to handle situations, but there definitely seems to always be like this is the main way, or maybe there's two main ways, like it'll split left and right. You can go either way, you can figure it out. Maybe there's a few others, but it's not like infinite. Now I appreciate that because I don't need like 100 different ways of taking it out. I need a couple and just kind of figure it out from there. But I actually really appreciate how this game, I mean, I just kind of described it to you, how this game introduces features or aspects and then kind of lets you go off and play. So there's the chapters, but there's the levels within the chapters, and it's literally a little playground area. You'll have enemies to defeat, and then you'll have some parkouring and some movement-based things to get to the next area, and you do it all over again. There'll be some communication with you story-wise in the middle, and then overall, while you're handling the enemies, I mean, there's a little bit of music that goes on. You can hear, the actual elements of the game, the sound design, right? That's going on as you're playing it, and that's it. That's honestly the gist of this game. There's a couple bosses thrown in. The bosses, I think, are really, really good. I want to talk about that in a second. But in terms of the actual levels, I died an incredible, I said it earlier on this video. It was astonishing to me. Okay, now I beat it. I beat this game. Now, there were some levels towards the end that made me want to rethink my life and want to rethink, why am I doing this? Why am I here? Contemplating really just life. I was doing that. I would say as this game was going on and on and on, I was pretty darn good overall at parkouring, at, running along the walls and planning jumps and things like that. I was pretty darn okay. It was really the execution of, I wanted to be able to block things. I wanted to be able to shoot things back. That's what I really wanted to try to accomplish. And there's no better feeling than perfectly deflecting a shot back. I think that's honestly one of the greatest achievements you can get in this game, especially, and I think there were a couple levels where I could do it on a couple enemies in a row. I don't know if there's a trophy for that, but there definitely should have been, because the amount of precision it takes, because you have to aim perfectly. You also have to have the right timing to hit as the bullet is coming at you. And to me, it's not easy. At least for me, it absolutely was not an easy thing to do, to deflect, I always got in my own way. So obviously there's the slowing down time and you can kind of dodge. The amount of times I did that and still messed it up were high. The amount of times that I didn't want to slow down time and just kind of tried to trust myself that I could dodge things, moving left to right or right to left, the amount of times I'd walk into a bullet surprised me because it was honestly way too many. But I will say, almost every single time I died, not every, but almost every single time I died, I felt it was on me. And I've said this before. I don't know which games I've said this before, but I know I have. The best games that are challenging, the best games that when you die are the ones that you blame yourself. If you die and you honestly blame the game. Now, there are some people, or there's some YouTubers, there's some personalities. There's also, I'm sure, just people in real life. There are, I'm sure, people that when they die, they say, oh, a stupid game. It's always the game's fault. I know those people exist. If you look at it with just a straight face and you say, okay, whose fault was it really? Now, if you say it's the game and you truly mean that, and I've said that before, not commonly, I wouldn't say it's the prevailing thing, but I've probably said before that it's the game's fault, something happened, right? If you can look at me with a straight face and say that, I would believe you, and that I would say is not a good thing. So the greatest games in this genre, in this, sphere, are the games that when you die, are the ones that you look and you say, that was on me. I dodged left, should have went right, or, I missed the timing on the bullet, and everything kind of happens the same procedural. Now, again, it changes where it's if a bullet, if it feels faster one time versus the next time, that's not necessarily your fault, right? Maybe there's a problem there, but it depends. It depends. But this game, overwhelmingly, not every single time, but overwhelmingly, I'd blame myself. I'd say, why did I do that? And I think that's the sign of an extremely good game. Again, the game works really well. It introduces you to something. It lets you practice a few times. It has some puzzle levels which is basically in your head, right? Those in your head levels, I think are really, really fun. And they always end with you getting basically a new ability. You have 4 in all by the end of the game, right? You're pretty strong by the end of the game. You have ways of dispatching. Now, I didn't really use those 4 abilities all that much. I probably should have used them more. I used them a little. little, but not all that much. And you probably should, because the game gives you techniques, it gives you things to use, and it kind of expects that you're going to do that. I also really didn't play around with like the abilities. I love the abilities, the Tetris kind of thing that goes on in the menu where you can pick like the blocks, but you can only fit so many in the right way. And so you have to decide, do I want to focus on abilities or perks that'll help my, the 4 core moves? Do I want to do things that'll help that I can get an extra dash? See, that's something that I had. All this, by the way, one thing I want to throw in here, and it's maybe the right time, maybe not the right time. Sometimes I got stuck, right? So I'd go on YouTube and I'd look up, certain chapter and have people play it. The issue is this game was very under the radar. In fact, I'm kind of shocked in a lot of ways that this got a sequel. I don't know how well the base game, this Ghostrunner game, did when it first came out. It obviously did well enough, and I think it deserves a sequel, no doubt. Absolutely deserves more. But when you watch people playing it, the only things you'll find online, at least me, not a lot of people watch these things on Ghostrunner. Only things out there are like the best of the best. So when you're watching, like, how do I beat this level? Like, there was a couple of times, like in a chapter, there was like a midpoint level where I just couldn't get it. So I'd say, okay, is there something I'm doing wrong? Like, should I go left instead of right? Is there a preferred, again, tactic? Like, sometimes you can go both ways, but one is probably the way you should go. So I'd look online and try to find somebody who did it. The people that you will see on, maybe I'll even have a video, I don't know for sure though. The things that you'll see online for Ghostrunner are insane. People aren't even going on like the base path. So when you go from like one area to the next and there's like a trajectory, you're supposed to go a certain way, you will see people jumping in midair. You'll see people not following like the straight, like if there's like a straight road to walk on from one level to the next, these people will be jumping off walls that are invisible and doing these fancy moves that I don't even know how they time it. Because again, it's literally all based on precision. If you mess up your angle, even if you mess up your angle running to a wall, you will not run on that wall. You'll bounce off, or it literally will not work. So these people, to be able to pull off what they were doing in some of the YouTube videos I was watching, I can't believe it. I literally can't. So that's another thing, the disparity between me, and I thought I was like, okay. Now, I mean, I died so many times. I still think I'm an above average like gamer or like a person that plays these games. So I do think the average Joe would probably die more than me. I mean, I'm taking a leap of faith and saying I don't know that for sure. I think the average person would probably die more than me. I died, again, thousands of times. These people, I mean, did they die once? And now, how did they even get to be that good? Is this the only game that those people are playing? I don't know. Also, there are some levels that are just, like, by the end of it, combat, there's some levels that are literally insane. Also, when you're at the very end and, the true villain is revealed and all this stuff, there are some platforming ones that I sat there, and I probably have footage, and I'm probably not going to show you, like, the full time of me dying. I think one of the last levels when you're climbing the tower, and I think that's maybe even the title of the chapter, when I was doing it, I sat there for about 2 hours. 2 hours in parkouring levels that I just could not get. I would stare. I'd put my controller down and kind of map it out in my head and say, how am I supposed to jump from right to left to left to right? How do you actually? I'd watch videos. I couldn't do it. There were a couple times, one specific, that no joke was like 2 hours. Another one that was maybe 30, 40 minutes. Several of them that would be like 10, 15, 20 minutes. Really, this game, if you go through it and you're not terrible, or like me or like other people that I haven't witnessed play this game, well, okay, if you're bad, this game is going to take you forever because you're going to die so many times. If you're good, this game, you could probably run through this game in like 2-3 hours. Like, it's actually astonishing how short of a game, if you're really good and you're not dying, there's no way you're spending all that much time in this game. Now, there's different modes. There was actually DLC. I didn't play the DLC, but I know there is some. The game's very well rounded. There's a lot to do. And even for somebody like me who beat it, there is a little bit of incentive to kind of go back and try to perfect some of those. Now, you could do the other modes that they have in it. You could do the DLC, but you could also just say, I want to be better than what I already am because I'm not very good. So let me just go back. And I didn't do that, but you technically could. One final thing I want to talk about is the boss fights. I guess, one thing with that. The boss fights are actually, now, not the tower. The first kind of boss that you do in this game is you literally are running around that big tower, right? That has like lasers coming out of it. That one was literally insane, okay? I want to actually give them props because that was one of the coolest levels I think I've played in a game, period. It was a lot of fun, multiple phases, and I mean, bosses have multiple. Now, again, like, this is a boss, but it also kind of wasn't. I mean, you were going based off of objectives. You were trying to, like, cut wire and stuff. So, I mean, in a way, it was a literal boss. It was a lot of fun. It was kind of a marvel of, like, design. I also died an unbelievable amount of times in that level. Besides that, though, okay, as you go on, and I don't remember, I mean, Mara, I think, is it's the girl that's also the DLC, the one that you fight, and it's basically like a sword fight. That fight is so cool, but it's also kind of easy. I think I did it in my second or third attempt. Even the final boss is when she is like Doc Ock and she's throwing the tentacles at you. I died maybe 4 or 5 times, and I mean, that's a lot, I guess, but it's also really not that many compared to how many times I died in the entire game, or in just basic levels in this game. I died more than 4 to 5 times, right? So in these boss fights, they're really fun. I think, again, the design of them and that they are so different, but they're sticking to kind of the core principles of this game. They're really good, but they're also kind of easy. Is that too crazy to say? Again, not the tower one. That one was actually insane, but the other two, I think, were rather easy compared to everything else. But no, I had a absolute blast playing this game. I know I spent so much time talking about the difficulty and me dying, but look, this game is a lot of fun. This game shocked me with the story and the characters because I think the dialogue was very, like, I didn't know to expect it to be really good. I didn't expect the story to be good. It was very good. I am very happy it got a sequel. To be honest, if it didn't get a sequel, I don't even know if I ever would have gone back to play it. I'm very happy I played this game. So I'm looking forward to the sequel. Again, I don't know if I'll play it day one. I might have to wait till like November or December. But when I do, maybe I can do a video on it. I'm looking forward to playing it, though. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure, as always, you're subscribed to the channel, bell icon turned on, and I hope to see you all on the next one.